Hey, Philosophy Guy here, and I just wanted to take some time this Saturday to talk about something that bothers me in the world of esports, and that is the idea that nerd culture has to attract the outside world, has to become mainstream. And it's something that's bothered me for a long time, but it really, I think, is highlighted, just kind of perfectly encapsulated in the world of esports and how much esports desperately tries to grab outside attention and censors itself, customizes its own culture, if you will, to become more mainstream. Kotaku ran an article recently about Killer Instinct World Cup banning teabagging. Now, teabagging is a taunt that usually happens in first-person shooters, but basically you kill your opponent, their body's lying there before they respawn, you walk over and you crouch on them several times, simulating the act of teabagging. Teabagging is, of course, when you drag your testicles across somebody's forehead. It's a taunt. It's been in gaming since as long as I can remember. From first-person games, basically any game that let you crouch. So in fighting games, usually what happens is you crouch a bunch of times in front of your opponent as a taunt, because in most fighting games, after you've defeated your opponent, your character does their I just won pose, and you can't move. So Killer Instinct World Tournament bans teabagging. This sucks. It really does, because it's a taunt. And the article brings up several points, like how many crouches in a row are you going to consider teabagging? Because you can easily fake somebody out by crouching or doing taunts. The article itself explains that in Street Fighter, one of the characters, Guile, has a taunt where he puts on sunglasses or takes them off, and one of the best players uses that consistently to taunt their opponent and get in their head. The psychological game is super important in any kind of sport. I mean, trash talk has been a staple of sports forever. Can you imagine what it would be like if during the Super Bowl they delayed the game because one of the players' feelings were hurt, or that like a linebacker didn't feel like they were in a safe environment? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's the whole point of esports. Like, that's why we call them esports. Games like League of Legends and Dota have attracted massive audiences, not because of the idea that they're kind or nice or friendly, but because we want to see that competition. Anybody can get involved in those games on a casual basis. You know, you don't need any kind of physical acumen. You don't need a group of people willing to play. You don't need to put your body on the line. You just got to download the League of Legends client and you're playing. It puts those games into context much better than any other sport. Anybody can play League of Legends at any level. You can suck it up every match, but still understand the basic concepts enough that when you see a world championship caliber play, you understand what the hell is going on. It's the only sport like that. I'll never know what it's like to throw a football for a touchdown. I'll never know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to get a pentakill. I do know what it's like to have a clutch heal in the last moment that saves your star player so that you can turn around and win. I'll know what that's like. That's the acclaim. That's the draw for esports. And I think it gets diluted when we're worrying about cursing, when we're worrying about sportsmanship. Like, what kills me about the NFL is that they're concerned with touchdown celebration displays. Like, who cares about that? As long as it doesn't delay the game, who gives a shit? You know, somebody scores a touchdown, let them feel awesome about it. You know, if you take somebody down, they get taunted. Like, that's the thing. It's a sport. It's competition. If you can't handle that level of competition, don't play competitively. It's ridiculous. And it's absolutely ridiculous that I've heard it said before that what we're really after is attracting sponsors. And so we want to make sure to keep our content within like the bounds of civility so that the sponsors won't leave. The reason you have and attracted sponsors is because esports is growing in popularity every year. The reason you have sponsors is because they want to market their product to your audience. Don't customize your product and your audience for the sponsors. That's ass backwards. Completely ass backwards. The sponsors will come when they realize you have that audience and you grew that audience by being what you are. Okay? League of Legends audience has always, it's player base, I mean, rather than its audience, because there are millions of people that watch it, has always been considered the armpit of the gaming scene. You know, they've always been considered a place you go to get insulted, but it still grew. It grew every year. Before League even started trying to polish up its reputation, it still grew. Part of the problem with this, customizing your content and customizing your audience for the sponsors, is that you're leaving out your greatest assets, and that is the personalities of your star players. And I've got two great examples of people who put a shitload of time, effort, and money into League of Legends only to get shit on. The first one is Tyler 1. Now, you don't have to like Tyler 1. You know, he is an asshole. I'm going to be the first one to line up and say that. He's an asshole. He is an alpha male douchebag. But what he is really, really good at League of Legends when he plays Draven. He got banned for being an asshat. He would do shit like feed, which is when you basically sacrifice yourself to your opponents over and over again so that they get an insurmountable lead and your team loses. He would do that whenever, you know, his team would suck or somebody would grief him, like, intentionally, when somebody would do shit bad and he'd tell them to stop and they wouldn't. And yeah, feeding sucks. Intentionally throwing a game sucks. It wastes everybody's time and it's bad. But that's not the only thing he was banned for. He was also banned for his attitude. He was banned for cursing. You know, he was banned for trash talking and flaming people in chat. Who cares about that? Seriously, it's a competitive game. If you're going to call it a sport, you need to treat it like a sport. You know, do we hold NBA games? Do we put those on hold when the fans start yelling shit at the players? No. It's expected that you suck it up and you keep going. The next thing I want to talk about, probably more agreeable than Tyler 1, I just wanted to bring him up as an example, is Video Game Donkey. Video Game Donkey is a YouTuber that has a massive following, huge following, like one of the biggest channels of all time, and he specialized in League of Legends play until he was involved in a match where somebody kept running up his lane and dying, basically feeding points to the other team, and he told them to go die. Now, when you say that in context of nerd culture, that does not mean that Video Game Donkey wanted that person in real life to kill themselves, okay? If you've seen the shirt that says kill yourself and it's got like the old 1950s guy with the hand up, that's what it means. It's an insult, but it's not a claim to action, okay? But it was treated as such. It was treated as if in high school I walked up to somebody and grabbed them by the shirt and went, you know what, I wish you'd kill yourself. That's how it was treated. And that sucks. And he was banned. After everything he did for League of Legends, he was banned. And he accepted it graciously. He was like, okay, look, I get it. I shouldn't have said that. Can I still film so that I can finish this video and then accept my ban? And they said no. And he said, go fuck yourself. And now he doesn't make content for League of Legends anymore. One of their greatest content creators, one of their greatest advocates, walked away because somebody had a problem with his sportsmanship. These are the kind of people who hated Muhammad Ali because he talked. You know, and that's what this sport needs. Esports desperately needs a loudmouth, braggadocious character to go on news, to go on radio, and talk about how the game is great and trash its detractors. They desperately need somebody with actual real charisma, and they keep chasing these people away because they want to present themselves as not a sport. You know, they want all the greatness of sports, modern sports in this country, but they don't want to accept the bad stuff. Well, I'm sorry, you don't get it both ways. Okay, you can't carefully curate this shit to attract sponsors and still be considered a sport. They are consistently wanting to be treated like the NFL and the NBA, and instead of presenting themselves like bicycling or chess. You're always going to continue to be a niche market until you realize that what the majority of people want is entertainment. They don't care about sportsmanship. They don't care about not taunting. They want people that are awesome. Okay? That's what WWE does. That's what UFC does. They feed us drama and storylines and let these people off the chain to go talk and brag and boast and taunt and be shitty people to each other so that we can see that and watch the drama unfold. And that's what we want. That's what esports should be about. Esports should be less about mechanical glory and more about having a goddamn human story unfold before us. Thank you so much for listening to me rant and blather on for about 11 minutes. I appreciate it. More typical videos will come, but I think I'll do one of these every week about just various things that bother me. So if you enjoyed listening to this, hit that like, subscribe button. That really helps me out. If not, leave a comment and tell me what I can do better. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.